What's up, guys? Welcome back to MMA Today. Now, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding Islam Makhachev. A lot of people are saying that he cheated in his fight against Alexander Volkanovski. Me personally, I don't think he cheated. I'm just going to go ahead and explain that to you guys today. Now, this whole entire situation kicked off with Dan Hooker, who released a series of tweets accusing Islam Makhachev of using IV bags. Now, he started off his tweet with saying, "Dumb C's think that he could fly to Australia, hire a nurse to give him an IV, and we won't find out. Cheating dog." It's a pretty big accusation from Dan Hooker right there. Then he says, "You saw us doing F all." And then he says, which I think is pretty stupid, "Prove me wrong, bet you can't." Well, Dan, if you're the one that's making the claim, you're going to have to prove it to us. Like, you can't just say this guy did this and then not provide any evidence about why you believe so, or what's your reason for saying this, Dan. You're going to have to provide some more information for us to even prove you wrong. And then he calls Islam a cheat. And that's from pretty big accusations coming from Dan Hooker. That started the internet going crazy. And people pulled up this photo right here where it shows that there's a little red mark on Islam's arm, some bruising, where people are saying this is where he got the IV administered to him. Now, this is from the photo shoot photos, and I just thought that right there didn't make any sense. Why would Islam take an IV in a situation where he's cutting weight? The whole point of cutting weight is you're trying to get rid of all the fluids in your body so that you can make weight on scale. So if he's cutting weight, it wouldn't make sense for him to take an IV then. And then someone said, "All right, little bro, what's this?" to Islam's manager, which he responds by saying, "Mandatory blood test by Australian Commission Wednesday morning right before media and photo shoot. Ask Hooker, find the nurse with commission, she can confirm." Now, that's a pretty good explanation. I believe him as well because it makes some sense. Like, if you're getting your blood drawn, sometimes you end up having a bruise on there, and that made total sense to me. But this whole idea that this photo explains why Islam is cheating is dumb. Why would he be taking an IV if he's cutting weight? Makes absolutely no sense, and I don't think anybody was able to make any sense about that. Then more controversy started when Ali Abdelaziz tweeted and deleted this tweet right here. He said, "For all those idiots out there, any fighter in the UFC banner can take 2 to 3 liters of IV as long as it's done by a nurse or professional. Next week, I'm going to expose everybody. Islam Makhachev is pound for pound king." Now, this tweet right here, it doesn't incriminate Islam whatsoever or even suggest that he cheated, but I think a lot of people were suspicious of this tweet because it's explaining the rule that you can take 2 to 3 liters, which is incorrect, but it's also that he deleted it. So I think Ali just messed up. I don't think he should have tweeted this out. I think he should have just confirmed or retweeted whatever the other manager tweeted, and that would have just calmed down the situation. But I think you just sparked more controversy by tweeting this and deleting it. Now Ariel Hawani actually responded to this. Of course, Ariel, the snake, is gonna always respond to anything that's surrounding Islam Makhachev, and he said yes, he deleted it because someone, I would think, told him he was incriminating himself with this tweet. You can't take 2 to 3 liters by a professional or not. It's 100 milliliters per 12 hours, among other details. A massive difference. Now, Ariel is right here. You can't take 2 to 3 liters, and I think that's the whole reason why Ali deleted this tweet. I think he wanted to tweet out it's 100 milliliters per 12 hours, but I think that's the whole reason why he deleted it. Again, this doesn't prove that Islam Makhachev or even prove those accusations correct at all, because he's not saying that Islam actually used any IV. Now, Jeffnovinsky was recently on Brendan Fitzgerald's channel, and he explained to us the whole entire situation surrounding IV use in the UFC and how it works with different commissions, such as Australia. Let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say about it.
However, when it comes to fights, when it comes to fight weeks especially, the rules are two-tiered. There's the UFC USADA rules, and there's also the commission rules. And, without exception, every single commission where we go fight would require specific permission from that commission and their doctors specifically to allow an IV use. And what I just told the fighters is there's absolutely no guarantee. In fact, it's probably likely that the commission will be pulling the fight if you have a diagnosed medical condition that requires an IV. Going back to Islam and Perth, the Western Australia Combat Commission, they have a specific rule that IVs are banned completely for rehydration purposes. So it wouldn't matter the volume, wouldn't matter if there was a medical professional involved. Perth bans those IVs.
So I'm just going to go ahead and pause it right there. So he's 100% right. Perth does have a rule where you can't use any IVs whatsoever. So that 100 milliliters per 12 hours rule wouldn't apply to the Australian Commission. So that means if Islam actually did use an IV, it would count as cheating no matter who administered it, whether it's a medical professional or anything like that. He would be considered cheating in that situation. Now, he's going to go ahead and explain further in terms of whether or not Islam did cheat or not, and he's going to explain the mark on his arm. Now, I just want to bring up this article real quick before I get to that. The Australian Commission did come out and say that there was no conclusive evidence that Islam cheated. They did say that that anybody who does have information, aka Dan Hooker or his team, is invited to come forward and provide that, and they haven't done it so far. So I highly doubt that they're going to go ahead and say that he, providing information that he cheated. I think this is just a rumor. I think they're just accusing him. I think that they saw that photo as well. Like someone like Dan Hooker saw that photo, and they're trying to say like, hey, yeah, this is the reason why he cheated. But I don't think that there's any credible information that they can provide that shows Islam Makhachev was cheating. Now, Jeffnovinsky is going to go ahead and explain that mark on his arm and explain the whole IV situation that I was talking about earlier as well.
But again, they put out a statement last night that they had no credible evidence of an IV being administered.
And so where did it come from? It came from there was a bruise on his arm?
Yeah,
I
think there was some photos floating around.
Yeah.
What I don't think a lot of people realize, especially the Australian athletes, because they weren't subject to this, but all non-Australian athletes that week gave a blood draw on Wednesday as part of their pre-fight physical. And I think if you look, at pictures thereafter, you saw a small Band-Aid, on the arm. And then as that day progressed, Wednesday and Thursday, the bruising grew from that exact same spot.
So he's 100% right there. It's exactly what I was saying earlier, and he kind of confirms it, that mark right there could be from the blood drawn, and that all people that's not from Australia, such as Islam Makhachev, that's why he would have a mark on his arm, because a lot of people are saying, oh, Volk doesn't have an arm, and a bunch of other fighters don't have the mark on their arm. First of all, not everybody gets the mark on their arm, and second of all, not everybody got the blood drawn. So that just goes ahead and, furthers my case as to why Islam did not cheat, because that bruise still does not prove anything. That could easily be from him getting his blood drawn, and that bruising just came up like that, all right? And let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say about IV in terms of rehydration. It wouldn't make sense for him to even have an IV before the weigh-ins, because why would he need an IV if he's cutting weight? Doesn't make any sense. Someone needs to explain that to me, because I still can't find any evidence as to why Islam would be taking an IV before he cuts weight. Makes no sense, right? Let's go ahead and continue.
Imagine too, if a fighter's cutting weight, more likely to bruise maybe for something like that?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but you mentioned cutting weight, and the idea of a Wednesday or a Thursday, a fight week, of getting an IV is contrary to everything these fighters are trying to do.
Yeah.
You're dropping sodium, that last day or two in order to drop that water, and a bag of, saline, is probably going to put you in a position where you're unable to cut that water weight. It's not the time you'd be using an IV.
I feel like
there it is right there for you guys. I 100% agree with Jeffnovinsky. And, shout out to Jeffnovinsky for breaking this down, because there's a lot of people going back and forth. A lot of people are attacking Islam Makhachev, has hurt his reputation. People are calling him a cheater. So shout out to Jeffnovinsky for breaking this down for us, because rarely do we ever get to hear from USADA or anybody from the commission speak out about this. But, Jeffnovinsky, being the guy that he is, he wanted to go ahead and shut all this down completely and explain the rules to us about the whole IV use and whether this was allowed or not. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, I still think that Islam Makhachev did not cheat. There's not enough evidence to prove that he did cheat. And if anybody, Dan Hooker especially, should come out and explain to us why he believes that, or provide some evidence to us for that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you guys agree with me? Do you guys disagree? Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.